Welcome to the football show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff and Tam McManus are here with me in the studio. Delighted you could join us. As ever, international football has dominated our thoughts with that fabulous result in midweek for Scotland against, of course, Denmark in World Cup qualification. Everybody getting excited about that. But no sooner do you finish talking about World Cup qualifiers than the madness of Scottish football will return. And Celtic's AGM, Ruffy, obviously you're dressed in your hoodie to pay tribute to them, but Celtic's AGM started this morning but didn't quite reach the end. Obviously a number of fans have posted various little clips from it. This was just the early moments of it which didn't quite go according to plan for the board.
Anyone else? Those who talk about the club not having kicked on in Europe since 2003 ignore the enormous change in the financial landscape of football in that period. It has created a gap which keeps growing.
Show that respect, not just to the listen. You don't want the meeting to close. I take it. We'll behave.
Well, it descended into a farce from there on in. They didn't behave, and a number of people held up their red cards, which is their democratic right to do if they're shareholders, and sack the board wasn't too far away as a chant as well. So, bearing that in mind, there was a fair bit of consternation. In the end, I think Peter Lawwell and the board decided that enough was enough, and they decided that they were not going to continue. I think one of the things that really irked a lot of the shareholders was the statement read out by Ross Desmond on behalf of his father and, of course, probably Ross himself. Accused some of the fans of being bullies. And then, of course, once he continued reading out his statement, I think a number of statements within it just annoyed quite a number of the Celtic shareholders who were generally at the back, shouting their displeasure at what was going on. And in a statement shortly afterwards, Celtic said such conduct is completely unacceptable and hugely disappointing, and while today's events are completely out with our control, clearly we regret the impact on our shareholders who were deprived of the opportunity to take part in an orderly and constructive meeting. So I think the other thing about it which really irked a lot of them is we will not be bullied by aggressive or irrational factions. We will not be railroaded by those whose only vocation in life is to be anti-establishment.
Well, there's always two sides to every story. You know, obviously there are people in there who are not happy with the present board and they want them removed, and they're doing everything in their power. We saw over the last couple of months the protests at the games, and this was an ideal opportunity for them to vent it at the meeting. Unfortunately, you know, a lot of people went along there today to ask questions and get answers and never get the chance for that to happen. So that's the downside of it. But it's just a terrible thing to happen for a club like Celtic, for this scenario to keep dragging on.
Yeah, Martin O'Neill, obviously at the press conference to look ahead to their match against St Mirren, this is what he had to say regarding the affair. A really sad morning, and I just wonder what the great Jock Stein would have thought of it all. He preached unity and said a club not united would never be successful. There's an obvious disconnect at this minute, but that surely can be rectified, is what the Celtic manager had to say on it. Well, when you look at what's happening, it's there are two sides to every story, and you've got to strike a balance with this, Tam. Quite simply, the Celtic boards try and highlight the fact that they have made mistakes. They've also highlighted the fact that they can't compete in an ever-changing market dominated by high rollers, clubs who can spend a fortune. And they've obviously tried to highlight the fact that they have got to keep some kind of kitty together for things that can happen that can derail a board. And they have again gone back over this statement of they do not want to go back to the old days. Now, many Celtic fans see that as a smokescreen, and quite a number of Celtic fans, and I can't quantify you know, whether these are the sensible ones or whatever. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I think the majority of Celtic fans are looking at it and saying, what we want to see in their mind is change at the boardroom level. They want a change. Some of them are calling for a change in the owner as well, the majority shareholder, Dermot Desmond, but they want to see Michael Nicholson gone, Peter Lawwell gone, Chris Mackay out, and they want a fresh approach, a change to the recruitment, a change to the ambition in Europe, and they do not see that with a board that they see is at times, bordering on arrogant.
There's a lot to unravel here, Peter. I think, first and foremost, I think Celtic are one of the best run clubs in the world. I don't think there's any doubt about that in terms of money in the bank. They're one of the richest clubs, in Britain, in terms of money in the bank. So they are a very well run club. I get where the Celtic supporters are coming from. They want to see more ambition. They had a real opportunity in February this year to kick on. After getting to the knockout stages and playing Bayern Munich, they thought that they could go to the next level. But to get to the next level is going to take far more money than Celtic have got, I think. So I don't think that was ever going to happen. In terms of the supporters to date at the AGM, I feel that a lot of Celtic supporters will be disappointed because they wanted to ask questions, they wanted real questions, answered in terms of the board. They didn't get a chance to do that. Listen, if people are shouting and bawling and screaming in an AGM, the board are well within their rights just to pull the plug and walk out. I have no problem with that, but I think a lot of Celtic supporters will be bitterly disappointed that they didn't get, their questions answered today. So, all in all, it's not a great look for Celtic, Peter, in terms of, people shouting and bawling. They wanted to hear, hear the board out, hear what we had to say, and that hasn't happened today. So, all in all, basically just a waste of time, waste of everyone's time. And who comes out of this looking good? No one, to be honest.
Well, a number of people, and it's only right and proper that we try and read out, a varied opinion on this, and one of them, I think quite a number of them have mentioned condescending millionaires telling working class fans to behave. The board has cut their own throats. Over and above that, the protest was an embarrassment. Protesters don't speak for every Celtic fan, says Brian. Other shareholders should have been given the respect to view their opinions at it. Joseph says that it's getting out of hand. Ross Desmond was wrong to say that he meant the establishment, Peter. The board didn't want to be answerable to any questions and took the disorder as an excuse to adjourn the AGM, says John. And over and above that, I think Smell the Glove or whatever has clearly jumped the gun on this. We haven't even started talking about it yet and giving our overall opinion on it. So there's no apologies here. We've got to give a fair and balanced approach to the issues and try and deal with them. Ray says, I can't wait until the Desmonds are out. A 37% shareholder wielding 100% power and ranting on the club website about our last manager is a disgrace. And, a lot of people, I think, continually are not happy with the board. Peter, this is now beyond repair. The board are actively against the fan base and now so far out of their depth. You've been vocal saying change won't happen. It simply has to happen now. Well Patrick, I have to say, I've given...
There's a scenario where the board get fed up with this and walk away, Peter, or do you think they're just going to dig in now?
No, I think there's... I can only give you my opinion. I've been absolutely consistent with it, with this board, and at times, I think the board is a collective, and I think it stems from Dermot because he calls the shots, but Peter is his general. Michael Nicholson's just, for me, he just follows the party line in this whole, triangle of power. But I think Dermot Desmond does call the shots. I think at times, if anybody criticises them, they're either banned or they try to control them, and they don't take criticism too easily, if at all. So there's a number of people who have fallen foul, and I include myself, but I stand by my own criticism of the previous manager who's now gone. But what I would say about them is, yes, you're right, they are a well-run club, but I maintain that they will not push them out. Dermot Desmond will dig his heels in and they'll ride the storm out. If anything, the only thing I can see happening is that maybe there will be some kind of bloodletting and maybe some kind of
Sacrificial lamb.
Yes, I was thinking of someone that might just say, "Look, I've had enough. I'm going to step out of the fray here, and hopefully one of us going is enough to maybe save the others and let them go." But my personal opinion, Ruffy, is the way ahead for Celtic. I wouldn't like to see Dermot Desmond go. I think what he needs to do is maybe actually just show a little bit more humility, an ability to reach out to the Celtic fan base and say, okay, we've all made mistakes, let's get round the table. I do think there is a way back to actually getting to some kind of, it's not appeasement, it's peace breaking out. And I do think there's a way that they can get a strategy to move forward. I think some people on the board have served their time and it's time to go. Their attitude and the way they try to control people, I think has really irked a lot of Celtic fans. I stand by what I said, and I don't care what he said on the board and Ross Desmond there. Since 2003 onwards, the majority of people that have gone to put their money to see Celtic have watched a lack of ambition in Europe. The second part of it is this. They are a well-run club. They've had a few things that they've had to deal with. The Celtic Boys Club was an area where they had to pay out damages to certain individuals who were wronged, and they've paid that money out. But I do think that they need to change their approach. I think there needs to be a freshening up of the board, and I think Dermot needs to reach out and say, right, I've made mistakes. Let's see where we go. Nobody that I know of, Ruffy, and I know a lot of Celtic fans who have spoken to me, none of them are saying spend 10, 15 million on a player. They're just not saying that. They're saying there needs to be a better recruitment process. And instead of a situation where 6 or 7 players are rolled in and the manager clearly is not buying them, they want a change in that process. And they would like to see, when you have such an impressive performance under Brendan Rodgers in the Allianz Arena, there was a chance to move on. I thought there was a chance to move on in 2003 at the UEFA Cup final, but I take the point that everybody was saying the wages were spiralling out of control. So they've controlled it. But I think a lot of Celtic fans would like to see a fresh approach, some people gone, new blood brought in, and maybe a chance to sit down with Dermot Desmond and say, right, how do we repair what's broken, and can you, like us, get round a table and just say, right, we've made mistakes, let's move forward together. Because he's not budging, by the way, and I stand by it. He will not budge.
No, I think you're right in everything you're saying, but I mean, I think the supporters, a segment of the supporters, definitely want them out. And I think personally, if one goes, they'll go, right, we've got one, let's go for the rest. I don't think they'll back off, just by getting rid of one. I think basically, I don't think there's been a good PR about this whole scenario between the supporters and the club. I mean, that statement that Ross made is a perfect example of trying to get everybody together and standing up and making a statement like that. That's going to irk a lot of people. You want to go to a meeting and have a wee bit of, response from the supporters and the club, but to start a meeting like that, is obviously going to upset a lot of people. But you're right, from a footballing point of view, on the face of it, the supporters see 5 or 6 really good players leaving the club and not the same quality coming in. For me, that you cannot argue that they are 100% right in what's happened. The goings on of how you bring players in and bring out, I don't know how difficult that is, but they certainly have not made the team better. And if you're a supporter and you're paying your whatever it is every week to go to a game, you have every right to complain about the way the recruitment's been in the last couple of years.
And over and above that, Tam, over the last 20 years, it's not only about recruitment, but it's how they deal with players who are there, how they deal with them when they've clearly said something to them about moving on and it doesn't happen. And then, of course, this late signing of players right at the tail end of transfer windows. Oh, we couldn't get the right guy. Or these excuses have been rattled out non-stop, and the Celtic fans have heard them that much that they're saying to themselves, you know what? There's a considerable amount of money that the Celtic fans buy strips, 1 strip, 2 strip, 3rd strip out. Classic Adidas strip comes out, fashion wear comes out, consistently having to put their money up for their season ticket, then exorbitant prices in European matches. And at the end of it, they've said, well, wait a minute, enough is enough.
Yeah, I think the final straw was the tail end of that window there, Peter. The summer window where Celtic had 2 months, 3 months to get players in, and the last day they transferred, the last hour, they sign Iheanacho on a free. He gets his contract cancelled, and they just sold Adamida for £6-7 million down the road. I think that was the final straw, and I think the Celtic supporters are bang on with that. I think it's been totally unacceptable, the recruitment policy, the running about at the last minute, trying to get players in, the panic stations that the club appears to be going in the last day or two at every transfer window in the last few years, and that was the final straw, that window there. So, yeah, Celtic's recruitment needs overhauled. I think it's been shocking over the last few seasons. The players have brought in. Okay, you're going to point to guys like O'Reilly and Nicholas Kuhn, who you go and get money for, but there's been a lot of money wasted. Trusty, Engels, Adamida probably get their money back, but I just think the whole recruitment policy that's been the final straw for Celtic supporters. And this season, you look at Celtic, really fractured club. Rangers, for me, really fractured club. And you look at Hearts, who are top of the league at the minute. Everyone's together with Tony Bloom, everyone's happy. The manager, they're all singing off the same hymn sheet. So that's why Hearts are top of the league, a big part of that as well, because they're all united. And that's why Hearts have got a chance this season of winning the league, because Celtic are going to go into Rangers obviously shortly, but Celtic and Rangers are really fractured in terms of, the fans are wanting the board out, wanting people out on the board, and that doesn't help the team. It's not a great atmosphere at games. Celtic have obviously banned, I think, the Green Brigade for 3 home games as well. So, all in all, it's a mess for Celtic and for Rangers, and that's why Hearts could sneak in this season and potentially win the league, because the other two are a mess off the park.
But the disappointing thing for the fans who went along there the other day to ask these questions that you're just telling me, they've went there and they would have been interested to see what they would have said.
The minority have got it cancelled.
They never got that chance. They never got that chance to put the board under pressure to say, well, this is what happened, this is how we couldn't get that, this is how... They never got anything.
Yeah, and they won't get anything. I'll tell you one thing, though. The one thing that I think some Celtic fans are doing, which I think is having an impact, is they are not buying merchandise right across the board. Now, whether that's reflected in the accounts coming out the next time around, only time will tell. But then that can be spun, well, you're hurting the club. You can see every spin that comes from it. But I think overall, I think they'd like to see a change. And they'd like to see a freshening up of the board. They'd like to see a change in attitude. And I don't think, for all the money that they've got in the bank account, I don't think any Celtic fan is saying, spend 20 million, buy exorbitant, wages for players. They're saying the recruitment needs to be better. They'd rather have quality rather than quantity. And these projects and ones for the future, it's all right doing that every now and then, but they need to look at a plan. They need to look at, and I'm led to believe that they are looking at some kind of similar process to Tony Bloom's Jamestown Analytics. And I think they are looking at a process that's also available that deals with that recruitment process. But all of these things, if they communicated to the fans, I think would be better. I also think every now and then it would be good if they could get to an AGM and see Dermot Desmond there and actually speak to him.
He's an absent landlord, isn't he, really?
Yeah, but speak to him and then...
He should be there.
And also, I think, maybe, if he's there, he's going to be there, you've got to get to a situation where the people who disrupted the meeting today, you've got to get a representative in there and say, look, if you want to get questions answered, put your red card up, but at the end of it, you need to shut up to try and get something out of this.
Yeah, I think there needs to be probably maybe a smaller, in terms of a number of people in there.
Is that not what will happen now, Peter? Is it not going to a proxy sort of a meeting rather than a big meeting?
But I think it would have been better had they had, yes, show your displeasure, but then slowly but surely say, right, calm down. These people are going to ask questions, but we're going to have the chance and the platform to put your point across. But it didn't materialise. It was an opportunity lost. But, listen, give us your point of view on it, because obviously some people want change. We've offered our opinion. I don't think there will be change. I think Dermot Desmond will dig his heels in. And I think some of the others who have been there far too long, who should be stepping down, I'm not so sure they will. Only time itself will take them out of the equation, but not at this moment. Although I don't think the Celtic fans will stop their showing their displeasure at matches. I think the protests will go on. I think some of the people boycotting the merchandise will go on. Where it goes after that, I don't know. It definitely needs a peacemaker. It definitely needs a mediator. And it definitely needs a change of attitude, I think, from the board. Anyway, that's the Celtic situation. We'll talk about their game against St Mirren a little later on. Rangers' financial results have come out. They posted losses of 14.8 million, down from 17.2 million in their accounts up until 2025. And of course, the record revenues of 94.1 million are up 7% from 88.3 million posted the last time. So I think there's not as much of a hullabaloo as you see all the points that they're highlighting in this report. I don't think there's that much of a hullabaloo about it across at Ibrox, because quite simply it's a new board who are cutting their cloth. There's not that many people from the old AGMs who are all in there, all with a stake, all with a voice, all battling for power. You've got the first real sense of, this consortium now saying, right, this is how we're moving forward. We'll control it. We'll try and get a strategy in place for recruitment. And now, I think, which will make it ever so easier for them, is the fact that they've got a manager in place who seems to be getting things calm and in the right manner.
Yeah, we've said it all along. The supporters basically want a good team on the park. They want to turn up on a Saturday. They want to see their team playing well. They want to see their team winning games. And over the last couple of years, that's not been happening. But now, as you say, they've got a new manager in. They're looking to the future, but he still has the pressure of winning their games. But as long as you're winning games and fans are trudging along to a game on a Saturday and walking away with a win, they're not really interested in what's happening in the finances of a club, because they're happy the way the team is progressing.
Well, that's all right. You've just suggested there, that's how the blueprint works. That's not how it works, because we've just spent 20 minutes on a club that have won 13 out of the last 14 titles. The fans are in disarray.
Not at this precise moment in time. Celtic, they're judging Celtic on this year. They're not judging Celtic and all the leagues and the cups and all that. They're unhappy because the signing just now.
No, they're not. They're unhappy because of a 20-year period where they think there's a lack of ambition.
I wouldn't know the majority of them are that. At this precise moment in time, they're not happy because what's happening with the club just now.
I don't agree with you. I think they're not happy because it's actually just the tipping point of a domino effect of, we've heard it all before, it's constantly the same thing going down. And then, of course, you've been in the same movie with the same manager that you brought back who caused chaos in his third period.
We never heard it, Peter, when there's trebles getting won and doubles getting won and the team's railroad.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Ruff a wee bit. It's just because this season they're not top of the league at the minute, and I think that's probably one of the reasons as well, where you're thinking, wait a minute, we've got all this money in the bank and we're 6, 7, 8 points behind Hearts. What's going on here? I think that's probably why it is as well, Peter, and losing to Kairat Almaty, not getting into the Champions League. So I think things have came to a head. But if you look at over the last, Celtic have been totally dominant.
I think that's exacerbated it.
Oh, it has. It's made it worse.
But I think. I
don't think if Celtic in the Champions League just now in top of the league, would we still be having this? Would still be protests, red cards today?
Probably not. But I think it was a collective over a longer period. Whereas now you have a situation where Rangers have revealed their financial figures, and there's less of, I would say, the protests that were going on. Remember, by the way, this is a manager who was walked across the park into a car while the bus was actually being bombarded by Rangers supporters who are watching a dismal team on the park. The problem with Rangers, which is a different situation from what Celtic are experiencing, is Rangers fans, some of them, not all of them, were looking at the 49ers and thinking, this is going to be similar to Lawrence Marlborough. This is going to be similar to David Holmes in charge. This is going to be similar to 2.5 years into it. In comes David Murray. Buy anything you want. It didn't materialise like that. Suddenly it was a business plan and they were going to have to stick to it. And there was no multi-million pound superstars coming in by the busload. It was a slow process to, a business plan from a group who are not going to spend because the club didn't really have huge amounts of money. They put their money in there. And every part of their recruitment has been really analysed under a microscope because the manager wasn't good enough.
Yeah, no, but we are aware that there are certain players on loan there are on lots of money. You know, a lot more money than what other people have been getting. So they've went down an avenue of bringing maybe 3 or 4 in from other clubs, and obviously they bought in the centre forward for a large amount of money, which the fans aren't happy with. So they do look as if they're managing their money a lot better. But I think January will tell the tale. You know,
I don't think their recruitment's good, Ruffy.
No, it's not. That's what I'm saying. In January, I think we'll have to wait and see what the recruitment's like, and we'll have to know what money is available. You know, it might be the case that the consortium have said, look, we're 20 million. We're quite happy to wait another year or so, as long as you keep progressing, you keep winning games. But at the end of the season, the tale will be told, because if Hearts are ahead of Rangers at the end of the season, a lot of supporters won't be happy.
Yeah, well, listen, the one thing about it with supporters is they don't let their eyes deceive them, and they certainly won't be, buying into a spin. They want Kevin Thelwell, front and centre out the door. They're not happy with him. They've made that clear. They wanted Patrick Stewart out the door. Obviously, Russell Martin, they definitely wanted him out the door. So now you're in a situation where the AGM's come, the figures have been released. The Rangers fans are now looking and saying to themselves, well, we've got one less guy in the firing line, which is the manager. He seems to be settling the ship. The rest of it has been the real crux of the Rangers' anger, I think, and displeasure. Their fans will be, listen, you've spent 8 million in this boy Chermiti. He's injured now, but even when he comes back, he's going to have to score goals. And I think their recruitment has been poor, and that's why they've been looking at Kevin Thelwell and been really, really critical of him, Tam.
Yeah, I think when you get a situation where Kevin Thelwell's at Everton and they sign Chermiti for Everton for £10 million, and then Kevin Thelwell goes to Rangers, and then their big money signing is Chermiti from Everton, there's obviously a link there, and it's Kevin Thelwell's man, and it's going to be...
That's not unusual, is it, Tom?
It isn't, but when you spend £8 million in a striker, he's got to be good in terms of Celtic Rangers. Particularly Rangers, it's a big buy for Rangers, big money signing, and he's got to be good. And if he's not good, then Kevin Thelwell's going to get it in the neck, because it's clearly him that spoke to the board and really pushed to get Chermiti in. So, yeah, listen, I think Rangers, in terms of them just now, they just need to keep winning games. I think Danny Rall has got a system that suits him a bit better now. I think they're harder to break down, they're harder to beat. As I said, they've got a run of games coming up. I think forget Europe, but they've got Livingston and Falkirk at home. Dundee United away, Kilmarnock away. That's any other Rangers manager, any other Rangers fan should be looking at that in 12 points. And that 12 points is going to get you closer, because Celtic have got some tricky ties coming up, so have Hearts. And Kevin Thelwell will just be praying that Rangers keep winning games, because if they keep winning games, that'll quieten a little bit, the furore about him. But if Rangers start dropping points again, him and Patrick Stewart are going to be getting even more in the neck up in the stands. So, as I said, Rangers at the minute, they just need to keep winning games and to keep the fans on board.
You couldn't make it up with these two clubs, could you? I mean, only in Scottish football we've actually gone from the high.
It's unusual for two clubs to be slotting.
Yeah, and now we're back at the domestic issues, and Steve Clarke has been quickly removed from the forefront of everybody's thoughts. Patrick says, Peter, it's a good day to bury bad news, and Rangers figures are exactly that. Listen, I don't think anybody's fooled by it. I think a number of fans, whether it's Celtic, Rangers, or any group of supporters with their clubs now, they're not fooled by the constant PR spin on these things. A lot of Rangers fans have voiced their displeasure at the manager. He's gone. They're looking closely at the signings. The recruitment is poor, and I think they will be held accountable at some point. But I think both Rangers board has got a bit of time to try and get their plan in place. Celtics is a totally different situation, and Ray says, Ruffy, the majority of fans are unhappy with years of poor transfer windows leading to poor European results. Also stadium repair, survey results, hotel, museum, and a shareholder wielding 100% power. I agree with Ray. It's a collective over a long period of time, Ruffy. I don't think
I agree. I agree with some of it. There's no doubt about that, but the collective has been over the years that they've got this money in the bank, and they've been... How many cups have they won in the last 10 years? You know how many trophies, how many championships have they won?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can always disagree, but you can't, you know, hit them for whatever they've got in the bank. That is one thing. You can hit them with the
Ruffy, with all due
recruitment.
respect, I mean, Rangers were out of the league. For God's sake, they could outspend anybody. It was like playing Queen's Park half the time.
Yeah, I agree with some of that, but the trophies are still there. People are talk about trebles and doubles and all that. That's what I
Celtic
support.
fans maybe get do you think they've got a sense of entitlement then because they're watching themselves? That's your wife at the door.
I better go then.
Are the Celtic fans got a sense of entitlement? Should their expectations be quashed then in Europe?
No, not at all.
In Europe?
No, not at all.
Should they pay top draw and watch themselves get spanked?
No, I don't think they can because obviously
European results have not been great, Ruffy.
No, I know they've not been great, but they've all been there, turned up. They've all been there. They just want to get there, and they've experienced getting there. They wanted to go that wee bit further, and that's not happening for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So I mean, but
it's over a period of time where they've had a similar recruitment process which they're not happy with.
Yeah,
and Rangers fans are witnessing this as well now with
well, see, the Rangers one, that's why you have AGMs. If it was a Rangers AGM, I would want to be sitting there going, where are we losing the 14 million? How are we losing 14 million pounds? Where are we losing it? Where's it going? That's the kind of questions you want to ask at an AGM. You know, why? Why are we losing it?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of Rangers fans have expressed their displeasure at the recruitment, Tam, over a period of time. I mean, I've spoken to people who are actually on the board who said the recruitment's been woeful, you know, and there were too many chiefs on the board. Some of them had weighed in with money. Everybody wanted the power, but there wasn't anybody. Now there's one group in there, and they're in the door, and already, you know, because of the demands of win the title, that's it. If you're second, you're nowhere. They're looking and they're saying, well, if we're going to win the title, any chance of spending £8 million on somebody who's got a proven track record of scoring goals?
Yeah, it's no point in spending £20 million, Peter, if you spend it on bang average players, and that looks as if at the minute that's what Rangers have done in the summer window.
Yeah.
You know, okay, you know, the proof have been put at the end of the season, you've got to give everyone a chance. But at the minute, looking at that Rangers recruitment, you're thinking they've wasted a lot of money this season. And it's even more galling, I think, for the Rangers supporters when they see how poor Celtic have been. Because you're thinking to yourself, for the first time in a long while, we can actually match and outspend Celtic, which they have in this window. And they're still behind them. So I think that's a galling aspect of it from the Rangers fans as well. They're thinking if we'd have got the recruitment right, we'd have been top of the league just now, or matching Hearts, and we'd have been ahead of Celtic. So, yeah, listen, I hope the 49ers have got deep pockets, because you look at the financial results every year with Rangers, and they lose money every year. So they've got to try and turn that into some sort of a profit, because if they don't, it's going to be a bottomless pit of money that they're going to be putting in.
This could be the best January transfer window for a while, Ruffy. And I say that because, quite simply, every Celtic fan will be looking and thinking, who are you going to buy? Rangers fans are thinking, who are you going to buy? Because you need to close the gap on Hearts. And Hearts fans will be thinking, this is the best chance to win the league. I mean, if ever there's a chance, and it's too early to say, but I think if they can get to January with you know 6 points in front, they've got, you know, it could be really interesting to see who they buy.
Well, it's going to be interesting. No, it's going to be interesting for the Hearts fans. No, because they'll all be believing that what they've seen already can continue, and if more players come in, you know, obviously we have to wait and see what Rangers and Celtic are going to do. And obviously, the Celtic supporters will be wondering, are this board going to get their act together? Are they going to start listening to us about bringing players in at the last day of the signing, you know, or are they going to, you know, start bringing players in particularly early? So when January comes, it's going to be the best January for a long time for the three of us.
Yeah, absolutely. We hope so. And of course, there's other issues. A number of other clubs, including one of your old clubs, is going to want to be in the mix as well. Here's how the Scottish Premiership fixtures look. Don't forget to give us your thoughts on the Rangers figures, Celtic's AGM, and how it descended into a farce. What's your thoughts on the board? Can you be objective and give us the positives? We've tried to give you a balance on the qualities of the Celtic board, as well as the criticisms that have been aired on our live feed. As far as the fixtures are concerned, Dundee United against Falkirk, Hibs against Dundee, Kilmarnock, Motherwell, Rangers against Livingston, St Mirren against Celtic, and Aberdeen take on Hearts. So with that in mind, Rangers will have a home game against Livingston. Interestingly enough, you know, everybody was obviously maybe occupied by the figures, the AGM, but a number of people were obviously keen to get the thoughts of the likes of Danny Rowe, the Rangers manager, was talking about the achievement of Steve Clarke in Scotland in midweek.
And I walked to the bridge and I couldn't see him. But it was a good evening. I think I will never forget this evening because I invited my staff for a couple of drinks to have a little bit of Scottish football together, and it was a nice evening. Sit together, watch the football game. I think outstanding goals, what a story during the game. I think what we like as a football fan, and at the end, yeah, it is fantastic to be manager of a country who goes to the World Cup.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, the great thing about it is the amount of people. You know, you can see pictures of Rod Stewart jumping about in front of a telly. You know, interesting. You know, Danny Rowe's a neutral in these things, but you couldn't help but enjoy that game.
I think anybody who was sitting watching it, that as I said the other day, the whole nation, whether you're a football supporter or a rugby supporter or whatever, you know, it's your country, it's doing particularly well, and I think everybody got right behind the team, and I think it was the way we won it, you know, the late goals and everything. It's something you don't see very often at that level, but yeah, you're right, you know, I think everybody joined in and had a happy night.
Yeah, I think it was Kevin Bridges who put out a tweet saying, you know, I don't want to get everybody's expectations up here, but I really think we can win the World Cup. which is fantastic. Just harping back to the old 70s.
Yeah, no, I looked at the. I mean, I'm not going to be as bold as that, but I looked at the pot 1, pot 2, pot 3, and pot 4. I wasn't impressed with pot 2.
Yeah,
I wasn't frightened by anything in pot 2. There's a few teams in there that we've already turned. Obviously, the South Americans are unknown. Yeah, but get out of the group would be good for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember, by the way, and this is just a rider of caution, which we have to do in PLZ Soccer, is remember the last couple of minutes, treat everything that Ruffy has said with contempt. This is a guy who ran out onto the park against Iran, was beaten at his near post, which is just nothing that a keeper does, and then, of course, uttered the immortal words, "I thought you told me the number 10 couldn't take free kicks," as Kubias took one with his outside of his boot and his inside and just whipped him up over the wall, and the debacle just continued from there, Tom. So let's not be listening to Bonzo talking about pot 2.
Yep. And I don't know if somebody will be able to tell us on the feed, has there been any Scottish player that's been to 4 World Cups?
Yeah, it's a good shout.
Because if we go to the World Cup and Ruffy unfortunately croaks it, we'll take his urn over. He could be the first Scottish player to have been to 4 World Cups.
Well, listen, 74...
74, 78, 82, 86, some Scottish player must have went to the 4.
Well, I thought Joe Jordan had been there, but obviously not.
No, Joe Jordan wasn't there. I don't think there's anybody that I can think of that's been to 4 World Cups.
Yeah, there would be nobody from 86 to 90, the 90 qualification. Nobody from that squad.
Yeah, 86. But they would need to have been. They would need to have been 78 to 86.
I think there's somebody.
You think so?
74 to 86, kind of, at least, no?
Somebody will mention it to us. No, because
T3 as well, probably.
He was injured. He was injured for the 86 and wasn't available to play. And I think he was actually at the end of his playing career then. So no, unless somebody's going to tell us, listen, it could be the case. Talking of which, we mentioned Danny Rowe there watching the Scotland game. Danny Rowe has got to get his side, firing in all cylinders, getting the wins that Ruffy was talking about there. There are a number of games coming up that they might consider themselves in a good place to win them, but he's got 6 players out injured. Tam Suter out, Mikey Moore out, Derek Cornelius out, Bailey Rice, Chermiti and Kelly's out as well.
Yeah, I think the 2 centre-halves will be a problem. Listen, no disrespect, they're playing Livingston at home, they should be fine in terms of defensively, but that's probably your 2 starting centre-backs, isn't it? Suter and Cornelius have been playing at the back. You know, Jigger might come in, Fernandez might come in from Siberia if he's fit, but you know, there's a lot of players there. Yeah, I think that Rangers should still have enough to beat Livingston at home. Mikey Moore, I thought, been starting to pick up and show a bit of his ability that we've not really seen, so he'll be a wee bit of a miss, but I don't see any problems with issues with Rangers getting 3 points from that game anyway.
Yeah, Livingston at the foot of the table, and suddenly you're looking roughy, and I'm thinking Kilmarnock, Dundee and Livingston and St Mirren still not. In fact, it's so tight at the bottom there. You're talking, 6 points between Dundee United in 7th and Livingston in 12th, as you can see in that table. It is oh so tight as ever.
Yeah, I think Falkirk have put the fear of death into everybody.
Falkirk are not going to be in the bottom two.
No, but I think I think initially Falkirk, everybody thought Falkirk were going to be one of these ones, but now because Falkirk are doing particularly well, it's put some other teams a bit of pressure that they didn't think they would be at this moment in time. But
I thought Falkirk were going to be in the bottom three battling.
I thought it'd be Dundee, Livingston and Falkirk.
Your bottom three now are going to be scrapping out all season, Peter.
Well, let me tell you this.
Kilmarnock, Dundee, Livingston, that's your three. That's going to be 2 out of 3.
Yeah, and I think out of the three, there's only 2 of those managers under pressure, which is quite simply Stuart Kettlewell and Stephen Presley. Because I think David Martindale, the expectations there are not as high as the other 2 clubs, So I think he's got an unusual situation where I think the board like him, and the expectations for what he has available. And listen, Davy, as ever, can pull a rabbit out of the hat. He's lost Ryan McGowan for a good period of time, so maybe when he gets him regularly in the side alongside Danny Wilson, things could change. But okay, give me your prediction.
Rangers 3-0.
3-0 for me, yeah.
Yep. Okay, I'll go a couple of goals for Rangers to win that one. Rather obscure time to kick it off. St Mirren against Celtic is 8 o'clock. On the Saturday night before even Aberdeen and Hearts lock horns on the Sunday. And of course, never too far away from giving his opinion, Stephen Robinson was talking today about VAR, and since it's been introduced in Scottish football, he doesn't believe it's fit for purpose.
Yeah, you're asking me about separate incidents. I won't talk about separate incidents in terms of VAR itself. It's been 3.5 years now. I don't see an improvement with it. It's for me, VAR isn't fit for purpose in the form that we have it in this country. When it comes to minuscule and small decisions, I don't believe the system's accurate enough. We've as a club been explained about some of that decision and other decisions. For me, we're paying for a product that isn't delivering. If you'd done that in any other walk of life, you'd take the product back. So that's probably all I need to say on it. I don't believe that the system's working. Scottish football fans, Scottish clubs are paying for it. It's not free. Ultimately, you have to ask yourself, is it making Scottish football better? No.
Do you agree with him?
Yes. I honestly agree 100% with them there. I think the VAR's not the problem. It's the actual version of VAR that we've got. And in England, they've got all these camera angles for offsides. They've got goal line technology in terms of, balls over a line. And very, very quickly, they can get 4 or 5 angles to a referee or a VAR assistant, and they can come to a conclusion straight away. We've got one. There's been 2 goals in recent weeks, Peter. The Bowie goal at Livingston, which was very, very tight, and the St Mirren goal against Hibs, with the cross that came in. I can't remember who scored the goal. And both of them are very, very, very tight. And I know for a fact that Hibs asked Willie Collum in the SFA for a conclusive angle, another angle, and not the one that was, and he said, no, that's the one we've got, he was offside. So it's unacceptable because there's no clear angle that would show that those 2 goals are offside. You can slow it down and you can, I believe that they drew another red line on the second one, the St Mirren goal. So I don't believe VAR's fit for purpose in the current Scottish Premiership. If you're going to have VAR, you have the full lot, you have every angle that they've got in England, you pay for it, or you don't have it at all.
I think that's going to be very difficult. I think the horse is bolted as far as that's concerned. The money's been paid. They're not going to go back the way. I don't see them ditching it at all. I think we're just going to have to grin and bear it. But if I'm thinking of
now the SFA will surely get money for going to the World Cup.
Yes.
Is that not a possibility that they chip in and for a better version of VAR?
Well, I think what you would have is an argument over what's the distribution of the SFA money for? Is it for the betterment of grassroots football in Scotland? And is the SPFL as a group responsible for the technology that will determine goals in their league? That's the biggest problem when you're suggesting the SFA should foot the bill. The other aspect of it, if I was looking at a league table on the clubs that have been wronged the most, boy, Stephen Robinson's got a real case by the way, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think as far as VAR is concerned, I think all credit to Willie Collum coming out and admitting they were wrong. But I thought the reason we had VAR was to not be wrong. You know, they shouldn't be getting it wrong. You know,
the introduction of VAR was to increase the percentage of getting it right.
Right, but if they're looking at the screen, they should be getting it right. Okay, they can get the interpretation of the laws wrong, but there have been a number of occasions where everybody that's looked at it and went, how can you be wrong? How can you, like the Falkirk one, Falkirk Dundee are winning 1-0. The Falkirk player just halves the boy in the penalty.
Stonewall penalty.
Now, I think anybody watching that would go, how can the people up there, that shouldn't be getting wrong.
Yeah, I still think there's a strong case here for the referee to try to the best of his ability, which he's there for, is to the best of his ability to make the call. And then from there, when he's aided by VAR, he has a period of time where he sees the situation and he makes the call. He still is in control as the referee. If there are clear and definitive statements that VAR has to call, then all well and good. But the problem with that is what Tam's just highlighted. We don't have enough technology to make those definitives. So if you don't have a decisive one, the referee is just going to have to make that call, and we're just going to have to put up with it. It's not going to be taken out of the equation. We're not going back the way. It's in. The only thing that will happen as we move forward is somebody is eventually going to have to say, listen, we're going to have to bite the bullet financially and buy the rest of the equipment. That's the next process. It's not let's take it, chuck it back to the team that made it. It's about trying to come up with money to try and get it to a level which I think a lot of countries will find great difficulty in, try and get it to a level that the English Premier League, which is just awash with cash. So it's a tough one.
I'd love to know what the percentage is of the referee when he's been called to the screen has went, no, I don't agree with you, I'm sticking with my decision. I'd love to know how many times a referee has looked at it and went, yeah, I'd love to know what the percentage of it is against, yeah, I agree with you.
And the other thing we've got to change, by the way, never mind the VAR part of it, we'll really have to look at the handball situation. It's been consistently something that causes a lot of grief. Anyway, St Mirren, at this moment, you just look at St Mirren in the table and you say to yourself, well, listen, they're sitting in 9th, they'll finish up 5th. Because he just manages to pull it out every season, doesn't he?
Yeah. I think they'll climb the table. They're obviously in the cup final as well, which there's places up for grabs. But I thought Hibs deservedly beat them just before the break there, 3-0. I thought Hibs played really well, and I thought St Mirren obviously unlucky with a couple of VAR decisions that went against them. But I didn't think they would look too clever at the back against Hibs. So I think that Celtic will win this. It'll be tight. It'll be hard fought.
Do you think Martin O'Neill will be in the cup final as the manager?
It's looking more and more likely it will be, Peter.
It is, because you get a situation, and this is the funny thing about, and by the way, I include everyone, all broadcasters, all written press, trying to unearth the exact story on things is more and more difficult to get a nod, a wink, a line out of other countries or definitives on it. You have people going, oh, Wilfred Nancy, it's advanced stages, they've had talks, he's coming in. Next minute you've got Columbus Crew going, there's been no contact here. So the whole thing is mixed messages. Managers are tapped up, we know that, Ruffy, but I think Martin might be there for the cup final as well. But right now, to his credit, he's got Sean Maloney in there, Mark Fotheringham, and they're just getting on with the job and saying, okay, what's going on in the AGM and what's going on in the background with the fans' unrest? We've just got to keep winning games to keep them happy of what's happening on the park.
I think this one in particular is a wee test for them. I think if you're a St Mirren player, you're in that dressing room and you're going to go to the game and you want to make a statement with that cup final that's coming up. But we're going to make sure that today you're going to be in a game, and when that cup final comes, this is what you're going to get. So I think it's going to be a difficult afternoon for Celtic. I agree with Tam. I think they will just win. They will just win. Honestly. It won't be by much. I would say maybe 2-1 or something like that. But I think it's going to be a right good game.
2-1 Celtic.
Yeah, narrowly. 2-1 Celtic. Okay. So that's the Man Celtic. Let's talk about the champions-elect. Love a good noise up Tam, but up at Pittodrie, Aberdeen against Hearts. Derek McManus, as ever, still undefeated in 10 games. People are thinking, you know, this is where they're starting to slip up. But they're against a Don side who are 19 points behind them. They've won 1 game in the last 5. So let's look at this situation here. The only good thing, I think, for Aberdeen's point of view is
That's a terrible record up there.
well, 13 visits and they haven't managed to get the win.
It's another wee test, you know, but it's always the same when, say, Rangers and Celtic are fighting it out and they go up to Aberdeen, you go, oh, this could be a wee slip up here. This is a moment when if Hearts were to go up there and beat Aberdeen very convincingly, say, 2-0, something like that, you've got to start, you know, looking at them and going, this is the real deal. You know, I just at the back of my mind, I keep thinking of the Hearts St Mirren game when St Mirren should have been winning 3-1.
Yeah.
You know, and won that game. So this is the kind of game they've got to go up and convince everybody that we are title challengers if they beat them 2-0.
I think they've got to win. The problem is Halkett's out, but Frankie Kent might come back in. But the one thing that they do have is they have a captain who can walk out with his chest out, score from a yard out, scoring goals for fun, top goal scorer in the Premier League, Lawrence Shankland.
Yeah, he'll be high as a kite getting in there. Hopefully he's sobered up for the midweek. But listen, all those players going back to their clubs will be high as a kite at the minute. You know, they'll be full of confidence after getting, you know, potential.
And so will their teams.
Yeah.
When you go back to your team, they embroider everything that you've done, and they get the kick for it as well.
Yeah. So listen, I think this is Aberdeen are a hard one to call. You know, I thought he was under real pressure. They got a great result down at Kilmarnock just before the break, 1-0. Hearts have got a poor record up there. You know, these are the games. Listen, Hearts of any aspirations to win the league need to go up there and win.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a draw. I'm going to go for 1 each. I think that Aberdeen will get a draw at that.
I honestly think that this is where
I think Halkett's a massive miss for them.
I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be reeled in shortly. Ruffy.
I don't think it'll be at the weekend. I agree with you. I think Aberdeen are always tough to beat, and I think it'll be a draw up there as well.
So they're going to be reeled in.
Well, it depends what the others do.
Oh, well,
there's no guarantee.
You've already predicted.
Yeah, I know what predicted, but that's
you're going to be reeled in then.
Yeah, if that happens, I agree with that. But there's no guarantee.
I think Aberdeen have got too many good players, I think, to be loitering around about the bottom. Yeah. You know, I look at guys like Stuart Armstrong and Nisbet and Carlson and Clarkson. Well, they've got too much quality in there. I just think they need a little bit more steel. You know, Shinnie maybe coming back into the middle of the park. I know he done against Kilmarnock. They need a wee bit of steel in the middle of the park. So I think they've got plenty of abilities in the wide areas as well. Yeah,
Kelly against Motherwell. If you're talking about managers that are under pressure, is Stuart Kettlewell under pressure because 5 straight defeats? And I'm looking at where they are on the table. You know, all that good feel good factor from him at the start when he surprised a few people with some of the results is gone.
Yeah, it has. And listen, he's come up against his old club Motherwell. You know, he didn't leave there in great circumstances. I'm sure the Motherwell fans will be desperate to put another nail in the coffin in terms of his job. But you look at it and you go, you're what, 12 games into the season, managers under pressure. That's just the world we live in now. You know, with 5 straight defeats, 6 straight defeats, I think they would be under pressure. I think Motherwell are a club who have had a lot of plaudits this season. I've seen them a few times. They play a lot of great football. It'll be trickier on that pitch down there, but you know, again, I just think this. I think Kilmarnock might eke out a draw and stop the rot, and maybe get a 1 each draw. I think this will be a close one as well, 1 each.
Yeah, you're going for quite a few draws, Tam. I'm going to go for Motherwell to win it 2-1.
I don't think Billy Bowie's the kind of guy that would ditch his manager, a new manager in there. I think he's quite loyal. And 5 defeats isn't the end of the world in our league, because his teams went more than that, and they're still in a job.
Still enough about Jimmy Tilleen.
I think Kilmarnock will win this.
Yeah?
I don't know why. I'm going to go Kilmarnock to win 2-1.
Right, okay. What about the Hibbies, Tam? Because the one thing that David Gray's been talking about is, you know, obviously it's such a good run of form until they come up against Rangers, but he's just basically like probably every manager saying, listen, there's a couple of players in here, you should be thinking about the World Cup, and Kieran Bowie's one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you look at the game the other night, when Gannon Doak went off, we didn't really have an out ball, we didn't have anyone to run in behind. Kieran Bowie's a big, powerful, quick player, and I think it would have been ideal for him the other night coming on. You know, Lyndon Dykes, we know what he can do. You know, he's up there, puts a shift in, but Kieran Bowie has got all the attributes to go and play as a lone striker for Scotland in the World Cup, but he's got to produce better performances for Hibs. He started off the season in flying form. Scored a couple of goals against Dundee up there, 2 great goals, scored a wonderful goal against Partizan, got in the Scotland squad, and he's off the boil the last few weeks. But again, this is a perfect opportunity. Me as a Hibs striker, a team coming Dundee, not won at Easter Road in over 20 years, loitering near the bottom of the league. I think this is a real opportunity for me to go and get a couple of goals a day and get myself back in the reckoning for that Scotland squad. So yeah, I do. I think Hibs will win this comfortably.
You're picking yourself to start, like.
Yeah.
Want to get your 2 goals.
Yeah, the thing about it is, Ruffy, I say it regularly, right? I sit and I try and do as much research as possible, and Tam just reads every stat that I've got in front of that computer there, and he sounds as if he's one of the most intelligent pundits.
No, I knew that anyway, Peter.
Oh, did you?
I knew that. I remember playing the Hibs team. We were 4-1 up against Dundee at Easter Road just before I left Hibs to go to Dundee. We drew 4 each. And then went back to Easter Road as a Dundee player and we got hammered 4-0 a couple of weeks later. So
where did we get more loyalty, to Dundee or Hibs?
Hibs. Aye.
Yeah.
I think Hibs will win this comfortably. I'm going to go for 3-0.
Yeah, and by the way,
Mulligan's another one. Mulligan, I think Hanley's a stick on if he's fit.
Yeah.
I think he's a great servant and a Steve Clark favourite. Josh Mulligan, if he keeps playing the way he's playing, he could force his way in as well.
Dundee, second bottom, 5 of the last 6 games they've lost.
It's just not happening for me. They're going to be down there most of the season. I think Hibs will win quite comfortably as well.
Okay, Dundee United against Falkirk. 1 defeat in the last 5, but 3 draws in there for United. 3 wins in the last 5 for the Bairns. And the only defeat, of course, was to Celtic.
Yeah, and I spoke to an old friend of yours, Peter Brown, who's a big Falkirk supporter, loving every minute of it. Stadium's full, excitement, fans turning up, everything's going well. And he keeps getting results. You can't take it away from him. I think it'll be difficult at Dundee United, but God, imagine if they go up there and they win that and all.
Yeah.
So, I don't think they're now in the category of relegation or playoff.
Okay, what's your prediction?
1 each.
1 each. Tam?
I'm going to go for 2-1 to Falkirk. Small upset here. I've been really, really impressed with Falkirk.
You're just talking up all your ex-teams.
I haven't. I've been really impressed with them. I think the last 5 games, I think obviously they went to Celtic and got hammered, but the rest of the games, every game they've been competitive in, and I believe that they're good enough to go up there and win. I'll go for 2-1 to Falkirk.
Graham.
Yeah, Brian Graham getting back done United. So
McIver.
Yep, I think it'll be 1-1. We've a couple of minutes to go. I have to say to you, thank you so much for all the positive messages and, of course, the people following us and hitting the subscribe button. We do have a fabulous subscriber base, but then, of course, over and above that, we also have a situation where if you want to put your name in the hat for a fabulous prize, here's what you can win come May.
Get ready for the trip of a lifetime to the Champions League final in Budapest. This is your chance to experience the ultimate footballing event of 2026. Sign up to PLZ Premium for the season and you're in the draw to win the VIP package to the final. Flights, accommodation and tickets all included for you and one friend. Unlock exclusive content and prize giveaways on PLZ Premium. Do not miss out on this incredible opportunity. Secure your spot for the 2026 Champions League final by clicking the link in our bio.
Just one little footnote, Ruffy, before we go. Quite a few licences have been granted for controlled sale of alcohol at certain premiership matches for home and away fans. It could be a big test.
Well, it is a test, for the supporters have been given that privilege. I hope they don't let everybody else down, because obviously the police and everybody will be watching, to see what happens. I think in general, supporters will behave. There is the odd minority, but let's just hope they behave themselves.
Yeah, if they do behave themselves, Tam, it could be really the forerunner for clubs starting to look at making it a whole match day experience, the full day.
yeah, I think it'd be fantastic, Peter. You're just hoping that the minority don't spoil it for the majority, because the majority of people are sensible, can go and have a couple of pints, a couple of glasses of wine, enjoy the football, go home. You've got the Egypts who want to go and get 10 pints and cause havoc. Hopefully that doesn't happen, because it's a extra finance for clubs as well, Peter. You know, if they can go and open a pub or a bar before the game, they get extra money into the club as well. So I think hopefully it goes all okay without any hitches, and the clubs can crack on and really make money out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget also, we're delighted that throughout the whole season we are partnering with our official charity partner, Maggie's Cancer Centres. And if you are in any way affected by cancer, all you need to do is go www.maggies.org and you can see on their website the fabulous work they do, the support they offer you. If you are affected in any way by cancer and you want to find out, you know, what type of support is available to you, then it's well worth going on to their website. Good to chat as ever. Scottish football is back, domestic scene. Tam's got a smile on his face. Some fans are unhappy. Will peace eventually break out? Only time will tell. Don't forget, right across the weekend, keep right up to date with what's happening across Scottish football on our platforms on YouTube and especially across all the other social media platforms. We'll be back on Monday with Alec Ray in tow to digest the scorelines. Thank you for listening and watching.